For decades, the global economy has run on a one-dimensional extraction model called enterprise out. It acts as a pipeline, forcibly pushing abstract products into a saturated physical world. This exhausted the planet, trapping trillions in static dead mass, hitting a hard thermodynamic ceiling. Scaling today's advanced technology depends on the apex pioneers, the gatekeepers controlling global energy, compute, silicon, and capital. These entities absorb massive flows of industrial materials into centralized cores to power the planetary grid. But there is a structural failure inside those cores. These gatekeepers operate thousands of internal, agentic tools simultaneously, yet they lack a four-dimensional yield ledger to reconcile the thermodynamic exhaust and social friction those tools create at the end of a financial quarter. This data visualization breaks down a $96 trillion macrosystemic bleed caused by that uncoordinated collision. Notice the breakdown across cyber, physical, social, and sovereign domains. Specifically, this expanding quadrant representing $8.8 trillion in measurable time poverty and human isolation. A centralized machine operates without the high-resolution truth of localized biological consensus. Without that feedback, it mathematically cannot inference its way out of social exhaustion or calculate a cure for the loss of human indigeneity. Right now, human civilization is trapped under the collapsing $110 trillion ceiling of this legacy economy. To survive, we must execute a kinetic decoupling, shedding physical mass to untether our algorithmic IP before the planetary grid suffers a terminal thermodynamic disruption. We do that by transitioning to demand-out economics. Instead of pushing products out from a center, borderless capability is pulled to the edge exclusively to resolve verified capacity shortages. This requires separating the planetary system into two distinct realms. The first realm is the Modular Sovereign Coherence Orchestration, or MSCO. This is the legally defined state or provincial layer where human friction lives, acting as a protective jurisdictional barrier for the global network. This high-variance boundary is the exclusive biological home for art, creative work, social debate, and ideological ethics. It is where localized human credentials act as proof of authorship rather than a limit on capability. It allows cultures to test and adopt technology through localized regulations, or to exist completely outside the system without fracturing the larger global network. By strictly containing this biological friction at the local edge, we prevent the machine from homogenizing humanity for efficiency, actively engineering living robustness into the system. The second realm is the SSCO, a frictionless, agnostic planetary network designed to calculate the exact macrosystemic cost of a community's isolation and asynchronous behavior. This architectural cross-section shows the threshold connecting the two, the tetradic airlock. It acts as a strict horizontal gateway, separating the chaotic MSCO below from the frictionless network above. To ignite this system, the apex pioneers must integrate their cyber capabilities with 11 Tier 1 physical grids. This pulls raw capacity from the messy local layer to anchor the network, using the massive sunk costs of the legacy economy as the gas for ignition. Inside this threshold, the gateway filters the erratic data of local laws and human intent, translating them into cryptographic policy as code. This process clears the privacy, equity, and sovereignty protocols required to engage the global network. By enforcing this cryptographic translation, the tetradic airlock creates a structural tether between machine capability and verified local capacity, providing a governable mesosystem that resists central capture. The economic engine powering this airlock is the Universal Coherence Asset, or UCA. It is a zero-custody utility tracer, not a speculative security. This real-time data chart shows how the UCA functions. Notice how the valuation lines increase in direct inverse correlation to the declining metric below. The UCA prices algorithmic IP and physical infrastructure based strictly on their mathematical ability to resolve verified thermodynamic shortages at the local edge. This mechanism generates an equity cascade. By pricing systemic and ecological deprivations into future yield, capital flows to distributed nodes without reducing the value of accumulated legacy wealth. The UCA achieves macrosystemic stabilization by unwinding circular finance bubbles. It moves the market to a regenerative model where wealth is generated by resolving friction, not exploiting it. Eventually, the system crosses a threshold of perfect planetary synchronization called network phi. At this stage, the temporary Zyro-Hive scaffolding dissolves. The system discharges its thermodynamic capacitor to fund new localized physical infrastructure, and the four-dimensional yield ledger becomes a permanent living record of planetary wealth. This transition triggers a structural shift in data management, the collapse of legacy data lakes. Cybersecurity is redefined as defense moves from centralized hoards to a biological-style immune system at the local edge. Enterprises are no longer forced to hoard radioactive raw data. They build capabilities upon zero-knowledge patterns instead. By removing the mandate to hoard raw data, the network structurally eliminates the ability for corrupt actors to marginalize populations for yield. This architecture forms the living consensus, a system governed by the living, not the machine. It is an agnostic vessel that refuses to stifle human debate. Instead, the system acts as a high-resolution mirror. It quantifies the exact macrosystemic cost of our friction and isolation, showing us the lost potential of our uncoordinated actions. By providing shared intelligence about our specific deprivations, the architecture unleashed the planet's kinetic energy. It allows human consensus to direct the machine's power toward innovation, empathy, and care. This biological edge achieves what no fiat currency or abstract machine can do alone. It provides the shared intelligence required to ensure the machine era remains directed by human purpose.